Welcome to Quantum RX, the podcast that teaches you how to move beyond stuck emotions and trauma for mind, body, and spirit healing. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Davis. We are at a really interesting moment in time where people are searching for answers and healing beyond the traditional realms. And when I say beyond the traditional realms, I'm talking even things like integrative medicine, functional medicine. We're well beyond, the conventional medicine. They're looking for things beyond, just talk therapy and EMDR, because a lot of these tools are important pieces of the journey and the path. But a lot of us don't find complete healing in those moments or resolution or even the, becoming the person that we want to be and know we can be. And that is where the quantum world comes in and quantum healing. And I am so excited today to have my friend Matt Schmidt on, because he and I both had a very similar journey. We were both trained scientists, very much in the biomedical realm, and he ended up becoming a researcher. I was a researcher, then turned, doctor of functional medicine. And we both, had a very similar path in that we did all of the things, right? We did all of the traditional biomedical things. And then we did some, natural healing modalities. And then, we got better to some extent, but it wasn't moving the needle enough. We were still living with symptoms and living with, medications or supplements and, all of the things, relying heavily on those. And it wasn't until we found this realm of quantum healing that we found full resolution. And again, it's, very rare that you find somebody who has a similar path, and our experiences are very complementary to each other. So we're going to discuss so many things today, but the main points of what we're going to talk about are: what is quantum healing and what does a quantum healing session look like? The physical and emotional signs that your body is getting ready to release trauma, which is also known as shedding. And also a piece of that is integration. And then the number one way to know if you're ready for this type of work. Matt Schmidt professionally trained as a scientist and did his doctoral work in developing drugs to treat central nervous system disorders and cancer. Even with everything he knew medically, he was still having all his own issues. He was still taking 14 medications, having grand mal seizures, and feeling depleted and stuck in life. After having his first quantum healing session, he immediately stopped having seizures and in 2 months was off of all of his medications. He was also shown his path as a metaphysical healer. He's always wanted to help people heal and now knows a better way. The results are real and limitless. As a healing facilitator, he guides clients to become the best version of themselves physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you're curious as to if you have any stored emotions or trauma that might be causing your illness, preventing you from achieving your goals, or even just showing up as the best, most authentic version of yourself, I invite you to take my free Stored Emotions and Trauma quiz, and you will find that link in the show notes. Well, I'm so excited to have Matt Schmidt with us here today because, as you know, as I said in the introduction, he is just like me. He's one of those people who came from the very sciencey side and made it over here to the metaphysical side. And his journey is very, very similar. And I think it's really important for people to hear this, for people to hear that we are coming from like a scientific background and we have embraced and integrated this type of work because it actually is truly rooted in science, but mainstream would have you believe otherwise. So welcome, Matt. I'm super, super excited to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here too. So yeah, this has transformed my whole world, and I don't know, it's been quite the amazing journey. So I'm excited to be here, excited to share, and yeah, hopefully open up people's eyes to the fact that there's so much more out there. So I think going through, the kind of training we went through, I mean, you get so invested in a certain way of like looking at the world, a certain belief
Yes.
system, and
Hmm.
you kind of almost cut yourself off to the magic, I think.
Yes, we do. And I would say I think that's by design because you and I both know that like ancient texts, ancient healing traditions, they all embraced this and it was part of their society, it was part of their lives. And it wasn't until more modern times that, that disconnection. I mean, they know that back in, more of like the Middle Ages, there was an intentional disconnection between spirituality and religion and science. They did that on purpose. And I truly think that it was a ways to control people, right? A ways to not allow people to harness, the divine and harness the magic that exists, in the world. So it's really, really interesting. So let's start off with your story because you, like me, were a trained scientist and then you hopped over to this metaphysical quantum healing. So I want you to share your story with the audience.
I think I always wanted to. I know even as a little kid, I knew I came here for something big. I knew I wanted to help people. Like the healing part was like, I always wanted to help people. I didn't know what that looked like. I don't think that ever changed. But like, I thought the way to do it was, I thought I was doing the right thing. And I know I was at the time to follow like that scientific path. And that was right. I don't think there's anything, one's not better than the other. One's not, I think the magic's going to come when we can bring these worlds together because these people aren't talking to these people because there's a
Yes,
time and place for all of it. I don't see it as like really bad.
me
I,
too.
I would kind of look at this like I would have probably made fun of you not too long ago, or me,
Yeah, yeah, right?
because I'm like, why would I do this? I want something that works, and that's
Yeah,
kind of how we're conditioned. We're looking for a quick fix, but like you're not getting to the root of why things are happening in the first place. So
yeah,
eventually you just get to a point where you're sick of being sick. You're sick of all the drugs. You're sick of all the medications that you're on. And I think that's where a lot of people are, but they don't know another way because we've been so separated from that. I started out like going into biology and then that kind of transformed. I started taking all the chemistry classes and then eventually like went into medicinal chemistry, natural products chemistry. That's where I did my doctoral work looking at central nervous system disorders, cancer, things like that, treatments for chronic pain. And even with everything I knew medically, though, I was still having all my own issues. So
mhm,
I was
yep,
having like grand mal seizures. I was having like, I was on, I think like before I had my first quantum healing session, I was on, 14 medications for treatments for anxiety, for pain, for ADHD, for, side effects of drugs, for the seizures, for, and like, some I'd been on for like 20 plus years. So, I mean, it was,
mhm,
you go to the doctor and like, well, how long do I take this for? They're like, no, you just take this now. And then they just keep adding more to it. And eventually you don't even know what some of those do. And I really thought that was the way, if we didn't, the way I looked at the world was if there's not a drug for it, we just didn't find it yet. That's kind of, I looked at the human body like a car. Well, what's broke? What needs to be fixed? Like, you're not a car. You're way more complex than that. And I had very like black and white thinking. Stepping away from that, so I really thought that I was doing the right thing. I thought I was like,
mhm.
but I still like felt like crap. I was in this roller coaster of medications. I would sleep like 2 or 3 hours a night. I thought that was normal. Like I would like
Wow.
basically like black out. Like I was prescribed 6 milligrams of Xanax a night to fall asleep and then wake up 2 hours later. like,
Wow.
that's not even falling asleep. That's like blacking out just so you can like function. Like no one sees an issue. It's like that's I don't know, just kind of where I was at. Looking back, it's kind of ridiculous now, but there really wasn't another way. If I didn't do that, I'd just be awake for. I just lay there for days. I'd go to sleep and just like lay like a zombie because I couldn't shut this off. Because I was worried about what was going to happen 2 months from now and what happened 4 years ago. And like, I'm like, where's the off switch? I remember thinking that. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people struggle with that. Well, that wreaks havoc on your whole system. You can't. I mean, I was sick all the time. I would wear myself down, and then eventually, like I'd crash and I would sleep for like a day or something, because eventually it
Yeah.
catches up with you. But you can't
Yep.
really function in the world like that. So
No.
you're just trying to get from day to day, and I think a lot of people struggle with that. They don't see a way out of that. After 40 years, I just think that's how you are. But that's where I kind of discovered the work of Dolores Cannon. First of all, like it was like basically like 10 years of life not working out before I was like, okay, I gotta do something different. So it wasn't like I woke up one day, I'm like, oh, I should do this. No, it was like,
Yep.
I'm like, I gotta figure stuff out. So, and like everything just kept failing too. So I noticed like I kept hitting roadblock after roadblock, and I was working on like a cancer research center, developing this with another person. We had like 15 researchers on board. Like a month before we launched it, we lost like $15 million in funding, and like the building's still sitting empty. And I'm like, what am I doing? So I basically gave up. Like that's how it
Yeah.
felt to me. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm done. Like walking away because I had nothing to show for the last 3 years then. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I was just kind of like floating through. I'm like, well, there's got to be something else.
Mhm.
And I discovered the work of Dolores Cannon, and really didn't think this would work for anything physically, but I was just listening to her talk. I mean, it was just fascinating. This is like, here's this redneck lady from Arkansas talking about all these like advanced concepts. Just so like matter of fact, she'd be talking about
Yep.
other lifetimes, things that had never been documented, and just
Yep.
everything all fit. And it, on a soul level, it all made sense. And
Mhm.
I was fascinated by the fact that she'd be talking to someone in England, talking about ancient Egyptian history. She'd come to the United States, and the person would pick up where the other person left off. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, I get quantum entanglement from like the quantum physics perspective, but like actually like experience like that, I'm like, what don't I know? Right?
The reality of quantum entanglement, right?
Yeah. And now doing this work, I'll have people that'll explain my dreams to me without telling them what they were.
Yeah.
And everything is so connected, but I didn't know that at the time. So I went and saw a lady who kind of trained under her. And in that one session, long story short, I immediately stopped having seizures that day. It's been 8 years now. I
Yeah.
was having them every week too, and the last one I had was like an hour long on the maximum amount of medication. So like kind of a big deal. In 2 months, I was off all 14 medications. Like, didn't even know that was ever going to be a possibility. Like, I didn't even see that as an option. And it's just
Yeah.
like things just kept getting better and better. I kept waiting for. I remember having anxiety because I didn't have anxiety, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
That's a
something's
very
wrong.
real thing for people. Yep.
And it was like, okay, I guess this is just how I am now. Started
Yeah.
sleeping every single night. Like, I can't imagine how I used to even function back then. But
I know. Isn't it crazy? Like the night and day shift that happens. It's really like you can't remember what it was like to be that previous version of yourself.
yeah, I'll get little glimpses of like a rough up band night or something where I just like, oh, I had a tough time sleeping. I'm like, that used to be a good day. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's where I found out I was supposed to be doing this work. And I'm like, right, there's no way. Because I'm this and I'm this. We're so attached to this old identity of who we think we are. And I mean, I had to get dragged to do this. Like, it wasn't.
I agree. And I know we talked about that because I struggled so much because so much of my identity and what I had believed myself to be was in that science realm, right? Because I was the same as you. I went from being like a researcher then into like functional medicine, which is so science based. I mean, we get into the biochemistry and we get into the physiology and all that stuff. And then I saw that for myself and my own issues and for my patients, it wasn't working. And I'm like, in functional medicine, they talk about mind, body, spirit, but they ignore the mind and spirit part of it most of the time. Like some people do acknowledge it a little bit, but it's really not intertwined into seeing that person truly, truly as a whole individual. That is, their energy is connected to everyone else's energy and everything in the universe, right? So that was like huge for me too. And I struggled with that so mightily. And it was funny because in the last calendar year, it was like I knew that that was the last piece of that version of my journey I needed to acknowledge and work through and like transmute. It was that identity piece because I had always identified with being the smart girl and being the like overachiever, right? All of those things, right? And then I was just like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm like, this is who I am. And this because the resistance inside me was so much. I was like, I have to show up as this version of myself because this is who I truly am.
But what are people going to think, Stephanie?
Yes, I know, right? And I don't care. I don't care anymore. I literally don't. I'm like, because this is who I'm meant to be. And once I made those conscious choices, everything starts flowing so much better, right? So much easier. And it's like, it's amazing. When you were talking about that, I thought of a question I wanted to ask you. Do you remember what made you look or like what triggered you to look at Dolores's work? Or like was it something you saw on social media? Do you know how that happened?
It was a person, a YouTuber, Aaron Doughty. He really bridged a lot of gaps for me and made this like really practical to actually like kind of start asking these questions, start to like, and
Cool.
yeah, that's how I found her, and it just opened up all these doors. So
Oh, that's cool. I am not familiar with him. I'll have to go look him up.
yeah, it's probably one of the biggest like teachers for me that, has a lot of like guided processes, but then also talks through
Yeah.
different things that really help bridge that gap for me. So
Oh, that's awesome. And I think that that's what people need. They need to have the gap bridged for them so that they understand, because so much of what we have our lived experience in most of the Western world now is, you wake up, you have a job, you go to your job. If you have kids, you do your kid stuff, then you go to sleep at night, and then you repeat it every day. And people aren't taught to look outside of that, or their social media feeds, or the news, all of that type of stuff. But once you start kind of ignoring that type of stuff, and I would also say working through emotions and trauma, it makes you more available to receiving that other information and more aware. So, that being said, bridging that gap, I wanted to ask you about what your healing process looks like. Because I know each one of us who does this type of work, we each kind of have a little bit of a different process. And so I would love for you to, like, when people ask you about what quantum healing or quantum hypnosis is, what do you tell them? And then what does it look like, as you're walking people through that process?
one thing I wanted to mention before we talk about that is like what I love about this work is it doesn't detract from anything I know medically, scientifically. It doesn't go against it. In fact, it actually is a perfect complement. It's not alternative. It's like complementary.
It is.
But if I'm asking a person why something's happening enough times, I never get a medical answer. It's never,
Yeah.
well, it's receptor upregulation of blah, blah, blah. That's creating
Yeah.
the, it's like,
Yeah.
no, you're pissed off at your mom still. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, downstream, that might be altering your neurotransmitters. However, that's a very much downstream effect of the emotional and traumatic root cause.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that's really what I love about it because they marry so well
they
together that they're
do.
not separate. It's not like I have to like, oh no, I have to buy into this. No, you don't because it's all right. It's just a different
Yes.
lens, I guess. Well, my process, I don't even know. It doesn't fit into a box anymore, but
Yeah.
basically,
But if you're
I
describing
don't
it to
mention the
somebody
H word.
new,
Yeah, I don't mention the H word at all anymore, and everything's
yeah,
gone so much better. The
yeah,
hypnosis work.
yeah,
So I usually say it's like a trance state, a meditative state, and I have way better results because people don't have these expectations of what they think is supposed to happen, because that really cuts them off from experience what they could from the session. I'm looking for
yeah,
results at this point, so I don't care how we get there, and
yeah,
I want to make my job as like streamlined as possible in order to help them to get where they need to get. So usually I have people prepare a list of stuff they want to address like in advance of the session. The day of, we talk for a while. It gives me a little background so I can ask questions on their behalf. We go over their list of stuff. Usually a lot of that has come up already. So their list can include any questions about anything, like nothing's off limits. So maybe they just list like their physical issues, but they also list like, hey, what am I supposed to do for a career job? Relationships, different questions around those are usually pretty common. And they can show up with nothing too, because their soul knows what they need anyway. But just that
yeah,
process of putting things down, people already start getting the positive benefits of this work. So I've had people that will call me, they hang up the phone and their physical symptoms go away.
yep,
We've never even done anything yet, but them committing to this process, they're like, all right, that was the push they needed in
yep,
order to do this. So they don't need it anymore. Because yeah, once they figure out what something's trying to tell them, they don't need the
yeah,
physical symptoms. So the
yep,
second part of this is where they're like in a relaxed, like trance state,
yes,
like a meditative state. And the reason for that is their conscious mind kind of steps aside and we can figure out what's running the show behind the scenes. Oh, that's my mom's belief. Oh, I can choose to be happy. Oh, that happened in second grade. Like whatever it is.
yeah. Oh, 100%. It's amazing what comes through.
Yeah, and then the second part of the that process, we connect to what I call their higher self. Some people call this their superconscious. Some people call this their intuition, their gut feeling. Really, I kind of see it as like the connection to everything. There's no really even separation in that field. And that's where we get some of like the higher level wisdom and guidance and stuff that they need to kind of resolve some of these things. But a lot of times by the time we get to that point, a lot of the work, the heavy lifting's been done, but that, ties everything together in this nice little package with a bow on it. So
Yes.
that
Yeah.
when they leave, they can take that out into the world. So
Yeah. That's awesome. That is very, very similar to what I do. Do you do regression work?
I do regression. I do stuff with breath work. I do stuff
Okay.
with, I mean,
Yeah.
I do spirit release, entity release.
Yeah.
I'm doing energetic stuff while we're doing it. But what I love about the process is I'm usually having the person do all of it.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
because I love that part of it because it's so empowering because I don't want them to need me. I don't want them to have to feel like they have to come see me. Like the whole idea is to get you back to you so that you can we can do this. Like we all get stuck, let's face it, we all get stuck, and it's nice to have someone that can help guide us through some of this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's really not up to me. And that's where I want them to leave with.
Yeah. That's exactly how I view, like, I view myself as the facilitator and the holder of the space. And,
Mhm.
conductor, I feel like sometimes we're conducting energy, right? But it's really interesting because it really is the person and the individual that's doing the work. And it is
Yeah.
so empowering for them once they realize that this exists within them and it's there all the time. Do you
Yeah.
find that I know some people, it's like they can do one session and then they're done, but then some people it's like it like layers reveal themselves over time. Do you find that that happens with people too?
Yeah. Yep. So some people, I mean, even for myself, I noticed there's like layers of like you're
Yes.
never done. So I think
Yeah.
I think people can benefit from more than one thing, but I try to cover as much as we can in one session. I mean, I've had sessions go 8 hours with one person, and like most are like in the 4 to 6 hour range, but like I'm gonna take whatever time.
I bet you're exhausted at the end of 8 hours. No?
No, I used to be, but
Yeah.
that's because I was taking on the person's
Yeah.
energy and I was like, felt like it was my job to fix them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I kind of detached from that, and I'm like, I mean, I have my own problems. I don't need theirs too. So for the time being, I have like they have my like I'm energetically connected to the person. Like we're enmeshed in the process. But when we're done, we're done. and
Yes. Oh,
and
absolutely.
I'm really good at that now. And it's uplifting after the sessions. I'm never drained. So
You know what? I would say for me, every once in a while, I will feel maybe a little tired after the fact, but it's usually when I have not been cognizant and aware of how I've been treating my own energy, because that was something like you said I had to learn, right? Especially
yeah,
because people like us who are drawn to this type of work, we tend to be very empathic, we tend to be very sensitive, and that was something I knew I always like my entire life. People have been drawn to me to tell me their stuff to to unload even as a kid, like, and it's funny because my husband and my sister can attest to this. Like we'll be in the grocery store and people will just start talking to me and I'm
yeah,
just like, okay, whatever you need in this moment. But that was a lesson I had to learn over time, like to actually like really protect my energy. And at the beginning of every session, even doing like the podcast interviews, like I always prepare the space and prepare the energy before it. And then afterwards too, I'm like, I have gotten into like, it's like energy hygiene, right? It's like
yeah, yeah.
taking care of it and making sure at the end of the day that I do that too. What are your energetic kind of hygiene practices?
For me, I used to go through this whole process. Now, when a person leaves, it's kind of like flushing a toilet. It's like, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I usually sage a space and I disconnect from the person, but I also call back my energy. I wasn't doing that in the beginning because I would
Yeah.
be, everyone's like, oh yeah, you disconnect from the person's energy, but like I give out so much during the sessions, but then so I call that back. I take a bath every night.
Same.
With Epsom salt, like that was one thing I knew before I knew any of this because it works so well for me. Like, and I didn't know how to do any of this, but that was one of my go-tos because that was
Yeah.
like the only place where I could actually like felt like I could get back to me.
Oh, same. Like everybody in my family knows that when I go upstairs and I'm up, I have a whole thing. It's like we have two bathroom lights. It's one's really bright and one's a dim light. I have the dim light on, the Epsom salt in the bath. I wash myself down. Sometimes I'll have like a candle on. I've got a cool candle that's actually got crystals in it. And sometimes I light that, but that is my time to like literally cleanse and disconnect and process. And the cool thing about that is I often will get downloads for myself during that time. And then also see even for some of the people I work with, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, I get everything there.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, this is my kids. One of my kids calls it my thinking space. I'm like, that's a good way to put it. I'm like, because
Yeah.
that stuff, I kind of think of it more as like marinating.
Yeah.
It's like marinating in whatever is coming to me, right?
If you watch some of my videos, my hair is dripping wet. I probably don't even have pants on because I have all these ideas.
Oh, I know, I know. It was funny because that happens to me too. I like last night I got out and it was funny because I was like putting like some like moisturizing oil on my face. And then I had all these things come in and I have an office upstairs next to my bedroom. And I was like writing them all down because I notice sometimes they will come and they'll stick, but sometimes they come and then they're gone. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I gotta get it while it's there. Which is it's pretty awesome.
I've made that mistake. Oh, I'll remember that. Yeah.
Yes. And then you don't. So
Yeah.
it's really, yeah, it's so interesting the way all of this stuff works. And then when it leaves, I'm like, was it meant to go? Was it only meant to be a fleeting, something that went into my subconscious mind? So I wanted to ask you this because I was thinking about this before we got on the call because you and I met at the Rise Up event, which was absolutely amazing. And I've talked about it a few times on the podcast because it was one of the first times I had ever been in a healing space with so many people who were all aligned. Like there was no negative energy. There was nobody who was trying to force an agenda or trying to be seen over everybody else. It was
Yeah.
just super duper duper cool. And it was interesting because I had been at a healing retreat the year prior. I feel like it was the beginning and the end of a cycle for me. But what was happening was like I was at this retreat, everyone was having these amazing transformative experiences where everyone's like, oh, I am, one with the mountains and the universe and God and all of these like amazing things. And they were releasing so much trauma. The woman who did the work is an amazing spiritual channel. And she works a lot with the power of one, right? So, like, if you're witnessing and holding the space for other people, that healing happens for you too. And everyone was having, like, there was 20 of us. Everyone was having these amazing transformational shifts. And my body just kept on getting more and more uncomfortable. And it was like shaking. I was having like, not like tremors, but it was like my body, like I could feel like the vibrational energy in my body. And it was like I felt disconnected. I kind of felt out of body. And it was really interesting because I think I mentioned this to you when we were at Rise Up. And I had said, like, when I left, I felt like I was time traveling. It was the weirdest and most strange experience I've ever had. And it lasted for 2 days, but it was like I got off of the airplane. So I landed here in Colorado Springs and I got off the airplane and on like it was actually Monday night. It was right before midnight. And then when I walked out of the airport, which was like 10 minutes later, it was Tuesday. And then as I was driving home, like it did not feel like I was physically like my car was like attached to the ground. It kind of felt like I was moving through energy rather than like being physically tied to earth. It was really, really strange. And I just felt very out of body and disconnected, which I have learned since then that this can be a major sign of like trauma release and transformational healing, but I didn't really get it at that time. And my sleep was messed up. There were so many things going on. Like I had like lots of like bouts of energy and then like profound fatigue. And then I got over it over like a couple of days, but it was the weirdest thing. But I always tell people like the most outstanding thing was like that out of body feeling and like that feeling of time travel. So at any point in your healing journey, have you like experienced anything like this or felt this way?
I think that's pretty common actually. And I hear that a lot from my clients too, like afterward. I remember sometimes I'd like just sleep for like 12 hours a day and just be
Yes.
like in and out. And then all of a sudden, like, it would be like a minute, but like 2 hours had passed. And I'm like, what? But I think we are checking out as so that things can happen on a physical level because this is dense. So to integrate those changes, you have to be out of the way for some of that stuff to move. And like I'm out there moves different than here. I've definitely noticed
Yep.
that. I embrace it now because I know big stuff is happening. So you recognize it as part of the process. But
Yeah.
the first time it's weird, you know?
It is. And I don't think you get it until you experience it. And I would say experienced it to a more minor extent. And before like that point, like a year and a half ago, it was like it would show up as like what you said. It would be like like sleep. Like I would do a session and then just have to sleep for a long time. And this was like the work being done for me or me doing it to myself. I would have to sleep and I would just be so tired and so fatigued. And I would have some of those like feelings like that inner, just like it's like an inner tremor, but it was like so profound at like when I was at that retreat. And it was funny because that was actually when I became like very acutely aware of what was happening in the space of last calendar year. For me, it was a year of processing a lot of grief that I had stuffed down for years and years. It was like I did like 2 decades worth of crying in about a 6 month period of time. So it was really interesting. And it was like at first I was resisting it, but then I was like, I know this is what needs to happen. So I'm just going to surrender to the process. Right. And I mean, it comes when you least expect it. There'll be like peaks of joy, but then, followed by profound sadness. And I just let it happen and I worked with it instead of trying to resist it. But it was like I became aware that it was grief. And then at the end of it, it was like you said, the layers, it was shame that showed up. And that was something else that I wanted to work on because at the end of the retreat, a friend came over to me and she's like, you don't seem like you're doing very well. And I'm like, I'm not. I actually had like pulled myself away from the group because everyone was like, oh, they're all feeling the love and hugging each other and like kumbaya. And I'm like, I can't, my body physically can't go near that right now. And so she came over to me and she's like, what's the first thing on your mind? And I'm like, I'm not good enough. And I was like, I had never thought that before in my life. My dog just walked up. She apparently thought I needed it. But
They
yeah,
know.
yeah, they totally know. But it was fascinating because that I've been unraveling that. And I don't push it anymore. When I get a glimpse into what I need to work on or what the next level of healing is, I don't force it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm aware. And what was I'm not good enough revealed itself over working with a friend of mine to be shame. And she and I are working on that now too. But it goes back to like the generational. It's like deeply entwined generational trauma and generational shame. So isn't it interesting how that happens?
It was interesting too how it kind of gets repackaged sometimes. Like I was doing all this
Yes.
stuff through like healing and self improvement work because I'm like, this is good, right? This is
Yeah.
right. And then and then I heard you're still doing all this because you still don't feel like you're good enough. I'm like, dang it!
Yeah.
It's the same thing just over again. So
Yeah.
I think with the time shifting and the time travel, like I experienced it more as kind of timeline shifting. So I went to Egypt and I came back and for like 10 days, I didn't know which version of reality was actually happening because
Yeah.
I'd go to do something and it'd already be done. I had already done it. And I'm like, what? I'd have conversations that never happened. And I'm like, it started to mess with me because I was going in and out of these different times. And so
Yeah.
like other people weren't aware of the timelines that I was aware of. And I'm like, eventually I just like sat back and like just waited for it to like even out because I think everything had to converge into like one reality for me to like
Yeah.
function. But because I was so loose in that space, I was floating between all of them and I was aware of them. And it was like, I was like, wow, I can't imagine if this was your life, like people that have some of these like heavier like mental issues. I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be so hard to navigate being in this world if you had this expanded like awareness. And
Yes.
anyone
Yeah.
else, it'd sound crazy if I tried to explain that to a doctor. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Right?
I know, right? They're going to be like, we need to admit you now. Right. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. Like when you were telling me about Egypt, like that just sounds absolutely like incredible. What, when you were there, what were like the most profound or transformational experiences that you had?
It was when I wasn't trying. So I was with a group and we were doing like these meditations and everything. I was getting pissed off because I wasn't getting anything. It was like I was cut off. And all I heard is,
Yeah.
you just need to be here. And I'm like, and that was it. I wouldn't get anything. It was like I was like intentionally cut off. No vision, no anything. So when you're doing that, when you're doing things like multiple times a day and everyone's having these profound experiences around you and you're getting
Yeah.
nothing, I was getting
Yeah.
like pissed off. I'm like, this is like a chance of a lifetime. And I felt like I was missing it. And
Yeah.
then it was like we went to one spot. It was like for me, it was the Temple of Horus, and like I couldn't even stand. I was like I had to like falling into the walls. I was like I was probably drunk, in hindsight. Like I got home and I just started puking and just like it was. But it was so powerful. Like I got rocked so hard there. Like even that night, I had to like keep my leg against the wall to keep from spinning. Like it was like drunk spins. And I'm like, what is going on? Because my body must have like remembered something or unlocked something, and it was just like
Yeah.
it's really opened up to something. But because from there, like that was kind of like a catalyst for a bunch of stuff that happened. But whatever
Yeah.
it was intense. And I think I just had to experience it at that time. So
Like we talked about before, I don't believe that there's anything that's coincidental, and everything that happens to us is meant for us, and it's meant for us in that moment. That's exactly what happened to me at that retreat. Like I said, everyone
yeah,
was having these like profound shifts. I did go into it with the intention. My clear intention was like, I don't have an agenda. I am here to like experience and receive and give and whatever it is that's meant to happen. But I had no like intention. And so that same thing happened to me too. I was so frustrated and so like it was interesting because I'm like, everyone's having this profound things. And like I think that was meant to happen to me too. I also had a lot of purging. The
yeah,
second that at the end of the second day, like I had massive, like the same, it was like purging and just my body was just, it was changing and shifting so much at that time. So it was really fascinating to actually physically experience that. And I've also had what you're talking about, like the vertigo and the spinning too.
yeah,
But that had happened at other times. Interestingly, that was part of the story that got me here. It was kind of like your seizures, except for I would have bouts of extreme vertigo and it would last sometimes like a couple days and sometimes like weeks. I almost had to withdraw from a semester of college because of it. And now I look back at that time, people were like, oh, it was, I was told it was like neurological Epstein-Barr virus, which maybe it was, maybe that was the physical manifestation of it. But I am convinced that that was part of what was happening for me, like
sure.
the transformation and the changes in my body, right? But I just didn't know what I know now. So interesting to like reflect back on all of the things you've experienced with this lens, right? Because
Yeah.
it's so different.
That's what I love about it. It's like all the pieces fit. Like
Yes. Oh, they do.
I being a scientist and everything. Like I love the
Yeah.
idiopathic conditions. The ones that there's not an answer. You're not going to find those any other place. Those are like by far my favorite. Like I
Yes.
love the story. Like I've tried everything. I'm at my wits end. You're my last hope. I'm like fantastic. Let's roll because they're
Yes.
so like, energetically invested in it at that point, and they're at that point of just surrender to and
Yeah. And that's the point that so many of us have to get to, right? It's like that, I can't handle the symptoms anymore. I totally, yeah. Idiopathic conditions, or when people tell me that they've been to like a bunch of other practitioners and no one's been able to help them, I'm like, perfect. You're in the right spot, right?
come on in.
Yep, those are the people. And what's interesting is some of them are 100% convinced that this is what they need, but some of them you still kind of have to, they're still suspicious, but they're like, nothing else has worked. So why not give this a try? Right. It's so cool. It's so amazing, especially like when you talk about like vertigo and seizures and stuff like that. A lot of times, I mean, you're familiar with Louise Hay's work, like it's like not wanting to see something, right? You're literally not wanting to see something. So when I go back and look at my like world through that lens, it's so interesting. I'm like, I could totally see where that was relevant at all of those moments in time. But also it's interesting from the standpoint of now I don't see nearly as many functional medicine patients anymore because I've been transitioning more like completely into this work. But I still have a few, and there are some who have like seizure conditions, and I'm just like, oh, if you were only, but I can't force them to do anything, and I will always meet them where they're at. And so I'm
Mhm.
just like, you're on your own path, and maybe someday you'll like be like, oh, I don't want to take all these medications anymore. Have to have somebody like be in the room with me when I'm sleeping or, all of those types of
Yeah.
things. Right. So it's interesting. It's like very much about us meeting them where they're at and just providing the space and being the vessel to help support the healing.
Yeah, for me with the seizures, it was like I kind of find it was like trying to hold so much energy in my body, and my body couldn't like do it. But then it was also to teach me compassion because I was very focused on myself
Yeah.
and within my session, they're like, yeah, you learn, so you don't need those anymore. And I'm like, really? It's that easy? Like, and
Yeah.
it's just a cool matter of fact. I'm like, really, it can be that easy? For a while, I still had this like dark cloud following me, wondering when they were going to come back. But after you get so far out, it's just not even a thing anymore. But
Yeah. That's one of the most amazing and I would say liberating feelings at the, in this process, because there is so much freedom. The cool thing is like you have so much just emotional freedom, time freedom. There's like so much that frees up in your life, but the resilience too, because so many of us were programmed to, be like, when's the other shoe gonna drop, right? And once the further you get away from, this, once you've, really done some major trauma release and, healing shifts, that isn't even a thing anymore. That's not something that I worry about. It's like you have this internal knowing that even if things aren't great, you're going to be okay.
I don't even know how you put that into words. Like you can't even like articulate like this state of being. I wish for everyone to be able to experience this. Like
Yeah.
I take a step and I know there's gonna be something there when I step. Like that's just such
Yeah.
a weird thing to me. Like the old man would be like, "Well, let's weigh the pros and cons here." And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yes. I was that person too. I had my like legal notepad with my pros and cons lists. Yeah. I was totally, totally that person. But
exhausting.
yeah, it is
To look like
exhausting. And it's what's cool is like when you're in this space, it's like you get to see the beauty in the world and you get to like you're fully present and you're experiencing things. And you also get to see like the like glimmers of magic that happen too on a day-to-day basis, which is so so cool. And it's interesting. The thing that like we were talking about a little while ago, like it makes me sad because it's like quantum healing on a very, very basic level, it's energy frequencies. I mean, we are energy. Everything is energy, and it's rooted in science, even though mainstream would lead you not to believe that. And all of those ancient healing traditions are aware. But for me, it's like, all it is, it's like about how we connect the totality of the energy in our bodies, which is, the physical, the mental, the emotional, spiritual beings that we are, you know, how we as ourselves are connected to each other and everything in this world, the universe, and then the divine. It's like it's all one big package. And it's like once you really get that, and I feel like we all have our own process of arriving there, but once you get that, it's like it's so profound, and that's like for me like the beauty of this. And it's funny because every once in a while when I'm working with people, like we put up our own resistance sometimes, and sometimes we're not ready to see or receive things. But then when you let that go and the transition happens, it's just amazing. It's so cool to watch people transform. I feel like that is by far my favorite part of this process.
oh, absolutely.
How do you feel about that? Yeah.
I go on vacation. I can't wait to get back to work or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
this. Just because
Yes.
it's so cool. Because then you watch them just explode in all aspects of their life, and then that ripples
Yes.
out, and it's like
Yeah.
it's just awesome.
That is one of my favorite things too, is kind of like, I feel like, at least for me, when I first started like in functional medicine a long, long time ago, right? I wanted to heal everyone and work with everybody. And then you realize quickly that you can't do that, because if you want to work with everything, you're like not good at anything. You're kind of sort of good at, a few different things. But then once I got into this realm, I realized that each person you work with, like you said, there's a ripple effect, and it just, it spreads wide. And it's like that's all we have to do is just keep on working with one person at a time, and then it spreads like wildfire. It's amazing. That's pretty magical because I feel like we're in a time right now. I feel like we're in a very pivotal time here on planet Earth, especially in the Western world, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of turmoil. And I don't think it's by surprise at all, just knowing everything. I think there are a lot of people like us that are aware of that interconnection and that it's causing more people to kind of wake up and see the bigger picture and understand the interconnectedness. So I think we're at a really interesting period of time. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I see it happening, and it's happening faster, exponentially. Like I want it to be tomorrow, but that's
Yeah.
not gonna be
Yes.
the case. But every time I look, it's like there's new pockets of people. It's expanding. It's growing. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, people would have laughed at this stuff like not too long ago, and it's everywhere. You're hearing about all this. I mean, we're kind of ahead of the wave. Someone had to
Yes.
be with these things, but I mean, it's everywhere. It's being popularized. It's like it's not even that strange anymore. Like,
Yeah. I know, and that's so cool. And it's funny. I remember you saying that it being popularized just reminded me of something that we had talked about earlier this week on Facebook. And you had, put up that post that said, clients stop using Chat GPT to prep for a session. And it's so interesting with the AI situation, right? Like I don't know, like I'll say this, like I think it can be a very useful tool. I am kind of suspicious just because of all of the knowledge that we have of the quantum world and energy and the way things work. Like, how smart will it get? But it's interesting that you had to, put that out there because I feel like some people are now kind of like farming out their lives and their existence to it. It's like literally you talk
yeah,
to those people who are like, oh, I chat GPT this and I chat GPT that. And I'm like, you're literally giving away your power and your autonomy to something that doesn't know you. It's not you. It doesn't know your history, your soul. And I feel like I posted on that post, it reflects a lack of trust. It reflects a lack of trust in yourself and probably life as well. So it's so interesting because like I oscillate a lot with the whole AI thing. Don't get me wrong. Like I will use it as a research tool, but I never use it for anything that's representing me. It's
yeah,
like I'll use it for research, but I won't. So have
sure.
you had a lot of people doing that for you? Like when they prep for a session?
I've had a couple, and I can tell when it is because it's like it's out of alignment. It feels off. It'd be like asking your mom, "What does my soul need?" I don't know. She doesn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even if I'm getting it, from a higher source of like what their soul needs, I might not get it in the way that they need it. Or like
Yeah.
I just think, yeah, it's like giving away your power, and yeah, there's a time and a place for all of it. Like yeah, you can use it to like, hey, summarize this article for me because I only have 5 minutes to dive into this, or something like that. But for like these deeper things, it doesn't know what you've been through. It doesn't know
Yeah.
your life history. It doesn't know what's affecting you currently. Like it can't. And I don't know why you would expect it to do that. So, it's
Yeah.
just like it has a role, but just that's not the place for it. So
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And like I had commented on that post, like it's the same as people using these like AI like headshots and stuff. Like I intuitively can pick those up so quickly and it manifests as a disconnect and like a lack of resonance in
mhm.
that photo for me. And it also shows up in people's written word too. Like if I can totally, and it's not even like, I mean, some of it actually might be my conscious mind picking up on it too, just being able to see some of the patterns that we can see now, but there is just some kind of resonance in there with me and it makes me not trust them. And I'm like, people, we need to be careful with this. This
Yeah.
technology, I think it can be incredibly helpful and I think it can lead some like efficiencies and innovations, but at the same time, I think it could take away from humanity and what makes us inherently human.
I think it's almost a very purposeful thing, because in this time
Yeah.
of where you need discernment, guess what it's
Yes.
forcing you to do?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
It's forcing you to ask what feels right for you. Does this feel
Yeah.
true to me? And like, it's pushing that. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it's a good thing, you know? So it's all it is.
Yeah, that's exactly like I feel like anytime there has been major shifts in history, especially with the technology side, like the internet, everyone thought the internet was going to break the world. It was going to be so horrible for the world. It's really interesting. I'm so excited and curious to see where we're going to be 10 or 15 years from now coming off of this, because who knows? I have a feeling it's not going to be as profound and dramatic as people would like to be. But like with any developments in any technology, we need to be careful, right? We need to see all the sides of the picture. But I think you're right. It is holding up a big mirror to us and saying, hey, hey, where are you at right now?
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So I wanted to ask you one last main question. So if you get somebody who's inquisitive and curious about doing this type of healing with you, what are your tips for them on like saying, hey, if you're interested in it, either like do this exercise or watch these videos or read this book? Like, do you have anything that you tell people to do?
First of all, find the right person.
Yep.
Like, I'm not everyone's person. That's okay. Someone else is going to be a better match for you, because all I can say is, like, when going through something this intimate of a process, like, you
Yep.
need to have someone that's a good match for you. And you'll be able to feel it if you don't just send an email, don't write a message, pick up the phone, call the person. You'll know in seconds if the person's a good match.
Yep.
Your soul will know. And
Yep.
so that's what I encourage people to do. I do send people like videos to help them prepare, like on a, like, you know, on this
Yes.
level.
Yep.
But as far as like finding a person that's good for you, your human might not be ready, but your soul knows if you're ready. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, this feels like something I should do it.
Yeah.
Help
Yep.
with me. I'll help you find someone if it's not me.
That's what I do too.
Like for me, like I couldn't tell you why I did this the first time. I just knew there was like a strong pull to do this. And if you're
Yep.
feeling that pull, if you're feeling guided to do this, you have nothing to lose except all the crap that's holding you back, honestly. Every single person comes up better on the other side, and I can confidently say that.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. People are like, "Well, what are your outcomes like?" And I'm like, "Everyone's great on the other side." It's like
Um,
the more like anytime you have the ability to release trauma, transmute and transform energy, like emotions, all of that stuff. Because I think in my process, it might be a little bit different than yours in the fact that I do some emotional like work and emotional exercises with people as well as doing the quantum healing too. And like you said, we all have a different process. And I am just like you in the fact that if I know inherently I'm not the right person, I will suggest a few other people for somebody to go to, because I mean, I am the kind of person, like I know within like seconds of being around somebody if they're my person or not. And I don't think a lot of people are there. So it's like just trying to, play my role to help them along the way in the journey, right?
mhm.
Because and that's why to this day people are like, oh, you've been in the healing space for so long, for like 2 decades, and I still do discovery calls because I think it's important to get
Mhm.
on and, like you said, and
Yeah.
talk to somebody and see where they're at and see the person. I do mine via Zoom. So it's like it's important because I can see them, I can hear them, and and like I said, if I don't think I'm the right person, I'll know, and then I will refer them to the right person,
Yeah.
or what I think is the right person. I usually give people, if I can, I like to give people a couple of options and be like, try these people, see if they work for you, see if they're a good fit. Let me ask you this first. Do you have any do you have anything that you would like to like offer to the audience? Do you have any kind of like a freebie or anything that you like to give people?
I put out all my stuff, all my classes, workshops, and stuff are free on YouTube. I put those out free so that everyone can have access to those. a lady contacted me a little while ago. Her brain tumor went away in 3 weeks just going through the videos. Like, you don't need me to do this,
Yeah.
like, because it's all
Yeah.
you anyway. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
have guided processes for everything. If there's something that's not on there, reach out, I'll make it. Like,
Yes.
it's what I go to do my own healing, and I just share the videos with people.
Yeah.
So lots of good results from there. But my YouTube channel is just Matt Schmidt QH.
Yep.
That's my YouTube
And I
channel.
have that link. That link will be in the show notes. So we already have that in there. And is that the best place for people to find you, your YouTube channel, or are there other places that you would like people to find you?
Yeah, my website, same thing.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
mattschmidtqh.com. And that's kind of where people start. But usually I start people with the videos because they don't have to tell anyone their deep, dark secrets. And they like to see if it's a good match. Like,
Yeah.
just hearing my voice, they can already connect on that level. And people feel like they know me by the time that they
Yeah.
watch a couple of videos, and then they're like, okay, I'm ready now, or hey, I'm stuck here. Or, yeah. So that's kind of usually where I send people. And then if people want to schedule something, then they just reach out directly. Because I only work with one person a day. So it's not like, I don't know, a little bit different than, scheduling hour appointments or anything like that. And
Yep.
I work all over the world. So
Yep.
try and make sure it's a good fit. And then I also don't let anyone schedule for someone else, like, here, fix my mom, because that's not fun for anyone.
You have got to make the choice yourself. I actually, back in the day, I stopped doing that when I was doing functional medicine only, because you realize quickly that when somebody else is like sends you, if they are not aligned or was not their choice, they're not going to have a good outcome. I used to actually have like gift certificates and like, gift appointments. I don't do that anymore because you quickly realize that that is not a good fit. Even with kids, like when I have kids in my practice, that's what I always ask them. I'm like, how do you feel about being here, because obviously it's their parents, and most of the time they're good with it, but every once in a while I get one who's a little resistant, so we have to do a little work to overcome that resistance. But that's awesome. Yes, all of your links will be in the show notes, but I love that you have all of your information out there and you're so open. And I feel like it shows your heart so much and it's funny because like seeing your YouTube channel like inspired me to like, I need to get beyond the podcast, like do other things, like put other stuff out on there. And I'm like, that's on my agenda for the next couple of quarters is to start getting that out. But yeah, like doing the podcast and like my practice, it's like I have it on my list and I'm like, I really want to do it. I got to get those videos out there. But I love that you do that because I feel like we live in an age where there is information like excess,
Yeah.
but the really good stuff, a lot of people hide behind closed doors or hide behind a paywall.
Yeah.
And I love that your stuff is awesome and it's super high quality. And so I'm telling everybody out there, go look at it because it's great stuff. It's really, really good information. And Matt is amazing at what he does. And thank you so much for being on today. And you were another one, like I said before we got on, like I was super excited to get on and talk about this stuff because there are so few of us, in this realm that it's a rarity for us to be able to like talk shop, like literally talk shop about this stuff. So thank you so much for being here.
I encourage people to, reach out to me. I'm usually good at getting back to people within 24 hours. Like, it's not weird. Like, we're just people too. So,
yes.
Like,
yeah.
If you got something going on, like, you don't feel like you have to like do something with us. Like, I gladly help anyone. So
yeah, same. It's funny, like even when I'm working with people like at the bottom, and I always say this at the end of every single session, I'm like, if you have questions, need anything, please, please, please reach out. And because people are like, well, I don't want to bug you. I didn't want to, I don't want to bug you. I didn't want to like interrupt your personal time. I'm like, no, I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, I will reach out to you. I'm like, I am here for you. So I think that's important to be available because I feel like there was a time when it was like, there were the walls, like the layers of separation. And I'm like, I find that my practice in my process is so much smoother and more fluid when I have that availability and I'm open. And ironically, but not surprisingly, I don't have people who abuse it. Like everyone is very respectful of my time and everything. So it's pretty cool as opposed to when I did have I had an admin person who was the front line for everything. And I felt like there was actually more disconnection than there is now, which of course it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe we'll have to do this again, and we might have to do like a deep dive.
I know I have like 20 more hours of material, so
I know, right? But we could do like a deep dive into another, like a specific topic. We'll have to talk behind the scenes about what that would look like or what topic it would be, and then we can go nerd out on that.
Sounds awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you guys for listening and sticking out with us.
Sticking with us. Thanks, Matt.
If you made it this far, I truly appreciate you. Remember, knowledge is just the beginning. Taking action is what truly sparks change. If you're overwhelmed and don't have enough energy to make it through the day, I invite you to book a free 20-minute coaching call with me. It's a no-obligation chat where we can discuss your health goals and how I might be able to help you achieve them. Visit the link in the episode description to book that call. Until next time, keep striving for wellness, and remember, you have the power to not just survive, but thrive in motherhood.